Okay, anyway, okay, hello everybody. My name is Alfredo Morales, aka Cheesymanfredo, and welcome to another episode of the Unofficial Toku-Cast. Here I am with my co-host, whoever wants to go first.
It is I, King Protus, here to review your strange North Korean Godzilla ripoff movies. I do a JoJo podcast, I guess. Go check it out.
Spork, that's you. Go.
Hello, I am Sporktown Heroine. I draw funny pictures online. You can check out my Twitter in the description.
Mr. Obama.
Mr. Biden.
Mr. Biden. I'm doing
Mr.
North Korean
Biden,
comedy.
please look at my drawing.
All right.
I draw funny
All right.
clowns and mimes on
And
Twitter.
Okay, Kazoo.
I'm Kazoo. I draw and I sit around and I contemplate life. You can check it out on Twitter in the link and bullshit. You know,
Right.
but right now I'm feeling like Juche Gang, guys. You guys feeling the Juche Gang?
my
right now?
Sorry,
Fucking
what did you just say?
Juche, the Korean concept of self-reliance penned by Kim Il-sung, I believe.
Yeah, I feel a little good Gucci Gang. Yeah, I feel very Gucci
Yeah.
Gang.
All right.
Created by Kim, whatever the fuck, Kimmy.
Il-sung.
I call him Kimmy because we go way back.
Yeah.
Well, they're all Kimmies.
They're
Gucci
all
Gang,
Kimmies.
Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang.
So
Gucci
yes,
What are we talking about today?
so yeah, we're going to be
Premise.
talking about, there is a North Korean kaiju film. I believe it is the only North Korean kaiju film. I also, like, want
I
to
wonder
say...
why.
Well, yeah, okay, there's so much to unpack initially with just North Korea, but I want to say, like, can we call this a kaiju movie?
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
call it one.
Yes,
I think it's
Yes.
very unique in that regard.
Yeah.
this is absolutely a kaiju movie. Yeah.
It is very much a kaiju movie.
All right.
And
It's-
like I have some thoughts about that, but I say that till later.
Yeah.
About how I
There's a
feel
lot
about
to
it.
unpack here.
Yeah.
Let's get over like the small details quick. This is directed.
What's the name of the movie?
Oh yeah, the name of the movie is Pulgasari. Came out in 1985, and the most I think because you're about to say the most infamous fact about this movie. Like the
I was
most,
actually
what
just
do you-
going to
what
list
you
the
think of
director.
Pulgasari and North Korean kaiju.
So this
films.
technically...
Yeah, go on. Anyone can talk.
This
I don't
movie was
care.
made with slave labor using real human trafficking.
And technically, it's a Heisei era movie, too, so...
Yeah.
For all you Godzilla
It was,
fans out there.
Why are we all dancing around it, guys? The director was fucking kidnapped to make this movie.
what I said.
Yeah,
He's a
I wanted
slave.
I
He was a
wanted to
slave. I
say
said
who
it.
he was. His name
Yeah.
is Sang Ok Shin, and he was a prolific South Korean filmmaker before Kim Jong Il kidnapped him for like 15 years or some shit.
Wait, I think
and
you
his
said his name.
wife,
I think you said his name backwards. Shin Sang Ok.
Shin Sang Ok. All right, I guess
It will depend on how it's written.
IMDb probably said it like that.
Word.
Little known fact about him, I guess he escaped at some point and
Based.
started doing other movies. So if you look at his IMDb, like he was the producer / writer for a series in North America called Three Ninjas. I'm gonna drop a link in
Oh
the fucking.
no! Oh, that brings me back. That's my
Wait.
childhood right there.
Look at that! Look at I just posted.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
We
it's
should-
nuts.
I'd be down to review the whole Three Ninjas trilogy. The trilogy of movies.
Knuckle up.
Right.
Knuckle up, ladies and
Knuckle up.
gentlemen.
In the sequels, they get Hulk Hogan. I remember. He's like on
that's
their
so
side.
good.
Huckle
It's
up.
so fucking good. Beyond that, we also have, the one and only producer, the great leader himself, Kim Jong Il.
R.I.P.
Love that guy.
R.I.P. to a big
I
one.
love that guy.
Wait,
R.I.P. to the
wait,
biggest
I thought that was
line.
I thought that was his son.
No,
His son came
uh,
into power like 10 years ago.
It's
Oh,
Kim
shit.
Jong Un is the current one. Yeah.
Damn.
Remember when we thought he died for a minute there?
Damn, that was crazy.
That happened like twice.
That was
Remember when you thought his fucking like insane murdering evil
sister.
sister
It's
was gonna
Yandere's
be
sister.
I love
Yeah.
I love the stupid fucking memes trying to like make her into like a Zula or like some like.
I love how you said that, Spork. You implying her brother isn't also murderous and insane.
Yeah, but
too.
like I think her job is like actually like in charge of public executions or some shit.
Jesus
They
Christ.
cannot have public execution. It's
Alright.
not that barbaric, right?
What are you talking about? This is North Korea.
True.
Okay.
All right.
Politics aside, guys, let's please keep it non-political this time.
Good luck.
Yeah, this
Good.
one's not gonna have any.
I
politics,
wanted a
guys.
list.
You guys are safe.
just
I
a few
guess-
more.
I guess before we go into kind of talking about plot beat for beat,
Yeah.
I just my basic like kind of impression about this movie. I was very surprised how straightforward it was.
Oh, it's very
and-
straightforward.
And yeah, it's like a very straightforward kaiju film, and
Mhm.
it wasn't like because this movie is obviously supposed to be propaganda, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it is there, like there is propaganda there, but like it's very much. I feel like it's just as subtle as like the propaganda we got over here in America because our like
I
Subtle?
think
I think so.
I
Okay,
think
when I
there's
was watching this
multiple,
movie- what I thought this was is like this is what I felt. What I got out of this movie is like the point of this movie is he is literally being forced as a slave to make this movie, and this is like it's like an anti-North Korea movie, but like a secret. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like a fantastical
it's
setting with a king and a kingdom and like farmers, but it feels like he's like trying to dig at the government. with
It's
this
super
real big
interesting
firm.
in that regard because it can be read multiple ways, but I personally think it's that because it makes sense because Pulgasari is touted as like a hero of the people, but the same could also apply to like communist China or the Soviet Union. But I
Yeah.
want to believe it's Kim Il Sung.
Pulgasari, like the kaiju himself, is like in a while watching this, he's in a very special class
Yeah.
that like that kaiju's like the original Gojira, like the original Godzilla are in that they're obviously a metaphor for something. They're like a straight up metaphor,
Yeah.
right? Because Gojira was a metaphor for atomic bomb, right? And
Yeah.
Pulgasari is a metaphor, but like what makes Pulgasari very interesting is like what is it a metaphor for? Because like people keep saying like all these like different things.
Imperialism is probably like either imperialism or just like conquest, and as like a general idea. At least near the end of the movie when
Yeah.
I disagree.
our one character is just kind of
I-
ranting.
I-
Sorry, not just like War Von, but industry is the other big aspect to it as well that I see.
Yeah, it's very
I didn't
like
get that at all.
it's really anti-monarchy and anti-feudalism from what I
Yeah,
noticed.
that's what I got.
Yeah, that's
from
pretty
this.
base. But
Yeah.
I've heard readings that like Pulgasari could be a metaphor for the Soviet Union
Yeah.
and how like North
That's
Korea
fucking lame.
shouldn't rely so much on like
Uh,
Russia by the end of the day. I kind of like it's a metaphor for the industry or like in
It does
Industrialism,
play in,
basically.
It does
Yeah.
play into the basic idea of juche, which is the whole like military self-reliance thing that North Korea's got going on for itself.
Okay,
That's
this is-
actually-
these are really interesting takes.
Yeah.
The
'Cause
Soviet
I-
Union one is in particular to me. Like that one I didn't even think about, but hearing
I,
that like makes sense.
I think I saw like a North Korean cartoon a while ago. It's that squirrel and hedgehog shit, but it was like originally it was like they were relying on like a big drunken bear who got like drunk off of like vodka or some shit, so he wasn't able to protect them. So they started fighting on their own, and you can see parallels to that in like Pulgasari itself.
This is really interesting. So the only thing I knew about this movie going in was that the director was kidnapped
Yeah.
and like forced to make it. So like what I read this movie as when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is like this is about the state of North Korea. Like, North
Yeah.
Korea is like a fucking shithole where the government like deprives its citizens of all the things that they need to live, and like forces them to do basically slave labor for them. And then Pulgasari and like, okay, so I guess we should start talking about how this movie starts. Like in the beginning of this movie, like
It has
They've
an
got, like,
awful
these-
title sequence with
Before-
terrible
before we
music.
get
oh,
into
I
it,
love the music.
before
I
we
love
get
the
into
music.
it-
I love the music in Pulgasari.
I love the theme
music
song.
the music is amazing because it's like if you've ever watched any like Soviet cartoons or like any cinema, they have like the shitty fucking synth everywhere that's
Right.
like
Yeah.
ever
It sounds like
present.
a MIDI. It sounds like
Hey,
a basic
I love
MIDI,
synth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like hurting my ears. Maybe the version that I watched was just like very
Yeah, I
low
mean-
The
quality,
SFX are weird.
it's like a
too.
240p version. If this were like a actually like orchestrated
I
thing,
gave
think
you
it would
guys the
sound
DVD.
amazing. I love the song.
I gave the DVD files.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't watch that.
I remember that. I watched the YouTube link that I linked because you can
Yeah.
watch this on YouTube. I'm pretty sure there's no problem. I don't know if North Korea's gonna fucking use their copyright.
Nobody's
Well,
gonna
but,
give a
The
shit.
the actual viewing experience that I had was I went outside, I laid in the dirt, and then I watched it on my phone at 240p. I thought that was the authentic experience.
Yes.
So like this movie starts out, we're in like a mountain village in somewhere. We've got some guys, we got a lady drawing up water from a well, we got some guys blacksmithing, hitting away on some iron, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's the lead actress, Chong
Right.
Sun Hui, which is the character of Ami, and she's pretty important. And then
Yes.
Oh, she's basically
And
our
also-
main character.
she's basically
With the
the main
name
character.
Ami, like
Yumi comes
this
in
is
later.
explicitly not Korea at all. Like this is like not.
No, that's
These are
it's-
not
it's
Korean
That's not true at
names.
all.
It's a,
That's not
it's,
true.
It's a Korean name.
that not
please
true?
don't act like you know things about Korea.
Excuse me? Like
Yes,
Ami is not like Ami alone is not a Korean name. Korean names always have the three parts to them.
Dude, I mean, like it's like feudal sort of.
Yeah, this
so-
is like 1,000 years
Isn't it-
ago.
Yeah,
I mean, I
But
wouldn't be
it's what-
surprised. I don't feel like
this is before like their writing system and shit because it was in
Yeah,
like
cheesy.
they all have very,
Chongyo era.
yeah. I wouldn't be like I just assume everyone's saying their like first names, but I know in Korea it's like their names have like three parts, but I don't know. They're really I don't know much about feudal Korea. I know like every Asian country around there is like straight up kind of copied China,
Yeah,
right? So it's not no wonder back then they would have like a simpler name,
yeah.
and then over time it developed to the three ones.
I
don't
would
know.
think it
And-
came with like the writing system, which was like relatively recent
Okay.
in Korean
Okay,
history.
okay. Besides that, like our main character was Omi. She's getting some water. She's getting some water for the boys. You know, like the
Yeah.
blacksmith,
Yeah.
the blacksmith
boys.
boys, right? And it doesn't say it straight out. It takes like a couple of like scenes until we realize what's really going on. Is that a couple of the boys, or just maybe one of them, are part of like a secret like bandit group, right? They're like dubbed as like bandits
Yeah,
by the larger emperor, right?
by the
and they're
governor.
but they're basically our guerrilla fighters, right? They're the guerrilla resistance
Yeah.
against the big ass emperor.
There are
right.
Sandinistas.
Yeah, yeah, basically, right? And they hide in the mountains, and we then I think the dad blacksmith finds out that one of
Yeah.
his workers is a member, and he's like, "What the fuck, man? Like you gotta leave now. I can't have you here because your existence here is gonna fuck over everybody else here too,
Mm,
right? They're gonna think we're all like bandits."
yeah,
And he gets kind of mini exiled, I guess.
a little bit. I gotta say, I love how Inde, the main blacksmith character, well, really all of them, they all look like fucking Rambo with like their
feathered hair and
with
like
the feathered hair and the little
the
headband.
headband.
He
I
is
really
very.
wanted to know who was in charge of like
Ida is clearly like the Chad of the group.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But,
yeah,
So after that, Men, I think it was the governor, right? Like the governor is the acting power under the emperor in that region, right?
yeah,
They refer to him as the governor at least.
Yeah. So the governor has issued like he needs more metal for weapons, right? We don't know what like he needs like what the
Probably-
weapons are for. I guess to fight the bandits, but I feel like that's
probably to
just
fight like other bandits, you know, just to keep the whole.
So from a
What
from
I
a
assume-
cursory... Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I said
Um,
what. Oh,
No,
Protus,
you
you
go.
go. You go, Protus. I already
Okay,
talked a
so
lot.
it's just from like Wikipedia searching this. It takes place in the Goryeo era, or the Goryeo under the Goryeo Kingdom, which
Yeah.
is the like the later Three Kingdoms period, which it seems like it had a lot of like fighting because it's like three kingdoms. So I guess
Right.
it's safe to assume that there is some war they're fighting. It's never explicitly mentioned. It's pretty vague. I think intentionally.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. It works really well with the movie because that's not really like the focus too
Yeah.
much. That being said, like so, I guess they need weapons to fight like the bandits, and I assume the bandits were kind of like the propaganda name the emperor would use to like okay anyone could be a
Yeah.
bandit because like if you don't give us your because they get the metals from like farming tools, right? So they sacrifice like basically their farming industry to just make
Yeah.
more weapons. And if you don't comply, they dub you a bandit, right? So that's like that
Yeah.
the name, like oh you clearly you're Antifa or something, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the comparison I saw, and so basically, and then they tell the blacksmith like, hey, use all these like farming tools to make metal, for weapons, and the blacksmith's like, okay, I'll do it, but then at the like when it's night, he tells all the farmers to come and just take your tools, like fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah.
And he gets in trouble by the governor, and he gets sent to gets sent to like a holding cell, right?
Yep. He's a good guy, that one.
Yeah.
Takase, I believe his name is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also some of the bandits some of his employees get thrown in holding cells too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
They're like pissed, like basically the blacksmith is like tortured and shit, and he's sent there without any food or water and shit. The bandits do get food and water, but they refuse to like eat before
before
the boss,
the
blacksmith boss gets like fed and shit. And you get this really brutal scene of like his daughter Ami and his son Anna like trying to like bring food to him, but like the guards like wrestle them down. I gotta say, everybody's screaming in this movie.
It's very
very
like,
jarring, you know.
We haven't really talked too much about like how a regime like this would have made a movie like this, but if you've ever seen any footage of like North Koreans like when they like can film them, and like they'll be like, I just think of like footage I've seen where like they're all like in unanimous agreement talking about like the great leader. They're all like weeping over something. Like I was kind of getting that weird vibe from these scenes where like a character would cry and like every character
Oh my
is,
God.
like, forcibly crying and like
I
don't
felt the
know.
same thing.
That's-
Like, have
that's
you
interesting.
seen like Kim Jong Un like walk into frame like in any of these like North Korea videos, and like people will like fucking weep like as loud as they possibly can. That's what that felt like.
oh, that's
what-
so weird. That's interesting.
It's bizarre as shit. Like they really know how to like weep. The old lady character that we'll get to in a bit later definitely was like
If there's one thing you can't say North Koreans can't do well is they know how to fake cry. They're the masters of it.
they're them fucking masters.
I
of
wonder
it.
why, but
I also love the scene. So yeah, they can't give him food, so they just start like throwing it through the window.
They
Like,
throw the rice
His
through the
daughter, his daughter and her younger brother throw like the rice in the window,
Yeah.
and he catches it, and he's like, it's all dirty and everything, and it looks like he looks like he's gonna eat it, but then he like thinks like, wait a second,
Yeah.
I can use this to create a magical little creature that will that will embody my rage.
So
Yeah.
this isn't the first time in the movie that Pulgasari is mentioned. There's a scene a little earlier where the
He's getting
governor,
tortured.
yeah, the
Yeah.
governor is like, "Where did all those tools go?" And he's like, Pulgasari must have taken them." And then he's like, "That is a joke. You're
Yeah.
making that is
Yeah.
not real."
The context behind this is that Pulgasari actually comes from the Chinese Korean folktale Bulgasari, which they would like carve out a little inscription and like put it in like their houses so it wouldn't like burn down and shit. Because like the phrase Bulgasari kind of means like can only be killed off by like fire or like Buddha, which means it's like tough.
fire or Buddha.
Yeah. And
My-
like I think bowl comes from like bulgur, like rice and stuff, which explains why
Ooh.
he's like made out of rice.
Huh.
That's really fucking interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only two things that kill me is God or a gun.
God or a gun is really funny.
But it might be too early to mention this, but actually the director for this movie, the same guy who got kidnapped,
Yeah.
actually made a movie called Pulgasari. And this movie, Pulgasari, is a remake of that movie.
Yeah, that one's lost, I think.
Oh.
And
you
you
just
know,
can't find
and
it.
you know what else is funny? This is like only the second time he has made a movie with the same plot. He made the same movie again, and it's called, I think it's called the Legend of like Malalith, something like that. It's like an English movie of this like little knight squire kid who
Yeah.
basically, think of the plot of Pulgasari, but if the main character was like a little knight squire kid, and his little buddy was Pulgasari, and he was more like an ET character.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So yeah, he crafts this heckin' cute vinyl toy out of like this rice, and then he gives off his last breath and dies, and then his kids see him off.
Yeah, he dies, and how does the daughter get the little Pulgasari figure?
I don't actually remember.
He's clutching it in his hand from when he died still. And she pulls it out.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Base.
yeah.
Then smash cut, not really smash cut, but later she's just so happens to be mending, and I thought that it's one of those scenes that's just like, okay, clearly she needed to prick her finger off something, so she just like had to notice that her brother's like cloak had a hole in it or whatever, and then she pricks her finger, and a single drop of blood falls on this rice totem, and in a scene that horrified me, he starts moving around.
I love it. I wanted to bring up the actor who plays little baby Pulgasari. His name is quotation marks Little Man Machan. He also played Minya before becoming Pulgasari.
Oh yeah, he did.
Godzilla's son.
Because
The
that
whole
was
thing-
something that I immediately was like, okay, this is very much like a baby Godzilla, like Minya sort of thing.
He's very cute initially, and like when in his like adolescence, he's kind of like awkward. I feel.
In my when I was
can I go-
watching this, oh sure,
Can I
sure.
go back and like mention something? Okay, the Pulgasari remake after this movie was called The Legend of Galgameth, which wasn't directed by him. It was written by him.
Oh.
Yeah, and that one came out in 1996. Oh, the same year I was born. Wild. Anyway, we're gonna say Protus.
What was I gonna say? Oh, it's just I think like the thing that one of the many connections that I made while watching this movie, because I was honestly very bored by this movie. I don't know if that's too much of a surprise, but I was thinking of how good the miniature, like it's not a miniature, but like the set when he's supposed to be mini and he's like inside the little like box with like all of the yarn and needles and stuff. I was actually very impressed by that, and it made me think of the Cats movie. The recent Cats movie, how there was all these like really good like
You're
sets
going
they
to that
made to make them
cockroaches
look
thing.
tiny.
You're gonna start talking about that cockroach scene again.
I will. You don't fucking force me.
Base. Anyway, yeah, she gets she gets blood on the little Pulgasari Funko Pop, and he comes to life.
He came to life that day.
Yeah, and he starts eating. He specifically starts eating metal, like just anything metal is his food source. Just like the fairy tale that he's from, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He eats metal. Meanwhile, in real life, Ide, I think, hears about the death of the blacksmith, right? And he goes marching into the village, and what does he do? There's another scene before this where like there's like a mother being tortured because they want to know where her
it's his
son is
mother.
at.
It's Inde's mother. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why. Yeah, so his mother's being tortured, and they're telling his younger brother, tell us where your brother is at, or we'll keep torturing your mom. And the mom's like, oh, don't tell him. And he's like, I don't know. He's so conflicted. And I'm like, oh, this shit's wild.
It stays on that scene for like an uncomfortably long time.
They really want you to hate the governor, and they don't need to tell me to hate the governor. I already hate the majority of all authority figures. But
And I also have watched The Walking Dead, and I hate the governor.
good. So Ida comes marching into town so they can stop torturing his grandma, right?
Right.
And they're about to like execute him, and the guy who's about to execute him is very excited to do this.
Oh my god, his fucking laugh is amazing. Like the way it echoes.
Oh my
It's
god,
so
I forgot about
fucking
this
funny.
scene. Yeah.
It's so funny.
And while watching that scene, I was thinking like I know like thinking like script wise and like what you want like this conflict to coincide with Pulgasari, right? Like you want them to merge. And I'm thinking like what is Pulgasari gonna do to stop this execution? Because like that's obviously what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So like Ida's about to get his head chopped off, and Pulgasari just comes out of nowhere.
He just shows up.
He just shows up and just takes a big old chomp from his sword, stopping him.
And there's silly music after it too. It's like,
yeah.
I really love the like bite that he takes out of it too. Like I love when he starts eating metal. There's something just hilarious to me about him just like chomping down on like
it's very fucking
iron
funny.
and
Pulgasari as like a kaiju like performance goes, he's fucking hilarious. Like, there's such humanity in his eyes.
I can't remember exactly. I don't know if this happens before or after the scene where he's almost executed, but there's a part where he like goes into like a weapons storehouse and he just starts like chowing down.
Yeah, that's how he escaped. Remember they tuck him in. He's sleeping with them in their little like their little futon. He's all tucked up, and then he gets up, he eats the lock off the door, and then just goes into town and starts eating.
And I just love how he exits that little like weapon storeroom. He just like very tenderly just starts like picking at the wall until it falls apart, and he walks through. It was just very funny.
It's great.
You know what? I like Pulgasari's design.
I like it too. I wanted to bring this up before we get too far in it. So all the stuff, all like the like props and shit were like done by Toho, I believe. They thought they were working with China, believe it or not, until they got there.
I read that too.
Kenpachiro Satsuma is the actor for the big Pulgasari suit, and you'd recognize him as like playing Hidora and Gigan, and I think he did Godzilla in some of like the 70s era.
I love Hidora. Hidora's like my favorite.
Gigan is one of my favorites.
I want to watch Godzilla vs. Gigan for this podcast. I think it'd be really sick.
I've actually never seen that one, so that'd be cool.
It's amazing.
You might dig it. It's pretty great. Yeah. But anyway, it's pretty great from what I remember from my childhood. But anyway, so I think after Ida escapes, he goes back to the secret mountain hideout. And I think that's when the rest of them are really like pushing for like, oh fuck it, let's go invade the governor's like fortress.
Let's overthrow our leaders.
Let's overthrow our leaders. And I was like, oh, base and red
based.
Yeah, and I think I watched this movie like a couple days before the Capitol was sieged.
Oh no!
I was like, oh wow, what a quink-a-dink.
What a funny time.
Anyway, so they take over the fortress, and do they kill the governor, or does the governor escape?
They do kill the governor.
Oh, okay.
They murk his ass.
Yeah, doesn't he like shove his sword? Indy like shoves his sword right in his heart. Yeah. And there was like a musical stinger that played. It was really weird.
This film is fucking brutal.
I mean, if there's something I like is that they do like they do like to focus. Like there's later on we do see them like, I guess spoilers, but we do see them kill the emperor, and they do focus on that scene. Just like they amazing. Focus on like the governor scene. So like this movie's very clear with kind of like,
kill your leaders.
Fuck monarchies. Kill these feudal assholes.
Yeah.
That being said, after that's kind of like that kickstarts their revolution.
Right.
And they're marching on their way to fight the emperor. And the emperor is kind of like, oh, I kind of don't like that. I kind of like that.
I kind of don't like that. General, what are you fucking doing?
Eye Patch General, the big badass.
Oh, I love this guy.
General Fuan. I wrote his name down after like 30 minutes into it.
Yeah, he shows up, and he's like, oh, I'll handle them. I handled other revolutions before, kind of shit.
I'll break them down.
So they go to war. And there's like a couple more. It's like, isn't there one more fight scene before like because eventually Pulgasari is like kind of the same height as a human, like maybe slightly bigger.
Yeah.
And
Wait, doesn't he? I think we missed a scene where he leaves. He just like fucks off for a bit.
Yeah.
I think he leaves. Yeah,
He
Because
like
he was still teeny, and the part when he's like playing in the water.
in the water.
Yeah, I think this happened like a bit earlier in the film. But I really love this one scene because it's Ami or Amy or whatever her name is, and her brother like searching for him, and they're just like running through this river, and there's so much echo when they say Pulgasari or whatever, and it's like I just love how long they say it in the echo. It just was very cool. But yeah, he just kind of leaves, like he just takes some like tools and then leaves, and then he comes back and he's like human sized now. And he's got a big upgrade. I think he has the horns now too.
Oh yeah, he has.
Yeah.
At this
He's
point,
got the
it's
horns at this
basically
point.
his final look. He's still just like human sized.
Oh my god! Actually, this might be a little bit ahead, but I love how like Ami introduces Pulgasari to like the rest of the the rest of the bandits, because like Pulgasari has like half an arm around her, and they're like walking up to like he's big now, he's strong, he can help, and Pulgasari's just jaunting his fat ass all the way over there. It's amazing.
I do think it's like it's so silly, like seeing like what looks like serious like feudal Korean like battlefield, and then there's like one kaiju guy there.
He's like human sized, and so the what kind of like reminded me, or what I was reminded of when watching this movie, was honestly like Gamera movies. Like I didn't really like the tone of it felt more Gamera than it did like at least like classic Godzilla, because like I don't know. I just found myself thinking of like some of the weirder plots in like the 90s Gamera movies, and like how they do play around with like the kaiju size. Like they fight a lot of kaiju or there's a lot of kaiju in those movies that are like smaller. Yeah. And it was, so I don't know. That's just, I don't know if anyone has seen those.
They're fun.
I need to go see that
I need to see the 90s.
trilogy.
Yeah, they're fucking amazing apparently.
They're incredible.
Things about it.
I would love to talk about those in the future too. I would definitely watch them.
We'll add that to the docket.
Yeah. Anywho, so after they win their first battle with Pulgasari on their side, they get a bunch of the enemy's weapons and they feed it to Pulgasari, and that's when he fully becomes kaiju size, right? Because like in the net scene, he's just massive, and it's funny how he's just kind of like the team's like mascot at this point.
Yeah,
like
before we get too far from that, I love how like they beat the army, because they do it without Pulgasari. Basically, they like run at them. They chase them down the mountain and they run at them with like this spear cart thing.
Oh yeah, that was
fucking funny.
Wasn't that the same? Maybe it was the scene before, a little bit after, or maybe the same scene. But it's the part where the army is walking by the cliffside. Yeah. And they're on top of the cliff and they start dropping boulders on them, right? Like
yeah, it fucking rocked. I love that shit.
Yeah, that was a really cool ass strategy.
Okay, this is a good time to bring this up, but there are definitely some scenes where people are like near dying with some of the stunts that are happening. Like, they just like actually threw a fucking tree at that one guy. Like, it looked like a real fucking tree.
Some of this shit is fucking brutal. Like,
also later on, there's like those fireballs that they roll down. Like, they're just lighting those on fire and rolling them at humans.
Looked real. Some of this shit is mad gory. Like after they like win, they like celebrate by like eating some meat, and it's just like we cut to the shot of like the fucking horse head.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I wrote the horse head too. Thank you. I was thinking in my brain, I was like, there is a non-0% chance this is actually just a fucking horse head, because I guarantee they didn't have any like animal safety precautions.
No, of course not.
I mean, obviously.
They also just like butcher a cow too.
It just drops into frame. We just cut to it.
It's like, I think it's actually the scene where she brings Pulgasari to them. Like, it's when they have like a base camp and they're actually doing well for themselves.
What's I'm having trouble remembering the horse scene that you guys are talking about.
It's like literally 1 second. It's just I just noticed the horse head.
It's right after the battle, when they're like partying and shit on the mount. They're still on the mountain because they're like situated up there and stuff.
But yeah, they're also, as you said, like just slaughtering animals. Like they're just like fucking like slaughtering and carving animals too, which is weird to see in a movie.
It is. They brought I wrote this down, but I didn't get to bring this up. When they were prepping for the battle up the mountain, they brought fucking sheep, and I was like, why are they bringing sheep to a fucking battle?
So, yeah, food, I guess.
And they need the quick health reload when they get injured. They got the sheep right there.
Yeah, I guess I just don't think of like war like that, because obviously that makes sense, but it didn't occur to me at the time.
If reading The Hobbit has taught me anything, is that people need to eat all the time, and people are just always hungry, especially when they're moving somewhere.
Especially if they're like half the size of humans, they're especially hungry.
Yeah.
I think after that, isn't that a little bit after that? There's a scene where they're celebrating at their base camp, and then the younger brothers are like, "Come on, Pulgasari, we gotta go collect some firewood."
That was funny as fuck.
Like he's telling this massive kaiju, like, "Come on, Pulgasari, we gotta go collect some firewood. Come on, boy, let's go."
I was so confused by this because I thought that was like, because during the scene, the reason why we're even seeing this scene is because the Empire, or whatever, the Imperials want to kidnap Ami so that Pulgasari, they can use her as like a wage or whatever. Yeah, he just the child isn't working with them. The child just wants to get firewood with Pulgasari. It's very, very convenient for the Imperial guys.
Yeah, it's very funny seeing him just like grab a fucking tree.
So yeah, they kidnap her, and once there's like another. I guess that's when they realize she's been kidnapped, and then they go to like the battle scene. And the general guys are like, I have her, and I'll only give her back if you, Pulgasari, go into this giant Pulgasari cage that we managed to build.
Yes, it's amazing.
Oh wait, no, I think we missed one scene. Did we see the part where they dig a big hole, or am I jumping ahead?
No, that's the second.
Ahead.
That's
that
the
was
second
later.
plan.
That's the second.
Okay,
plan.
sorry. Apologies.
No, it's fine. But yeah, so Pulgasari's like, oh no, I gotta go inside this cage, so they'll hand her over.
Yeah.
And he goes inside the cage, and then they light the cage on fire, and then it's like, oh no, is this the end of Pulgasari?
No, Pulgasari.
Thankfully, Pulgasari doesn't abide by the original fairy tale, so apparently fire doesn't really work against him, and he's still alive.
This like shot is like the best shot in the movie with the lighting on like the costume. It looks amazing.
I think it looks really fucking cool too. He looks like he has like a nice orange glow. Like that'd be a good variant for like a toy or a figure, you know.
I have to say, like, we haven't talked much about it, but like the suit for Pulgasari is like amazing because his like eyebrows move, his cheeks move, his eyeballs move too. Like that's super fucking cool. I don't think I've seen that anywhere else.
For you gotta hand it to these North Koreans. They really wanted the best looking suit, and they got it.
Yeah.
There's like that one scene where he's like in pain. I think it's I forget. It's closer to the end, but he's in like pain, and his facial expression is so fucking funny. Like he's just like his eyes are darting around, his mouth is wide open, the eyebrows are all the way up, and it really does show the range of this like mask that they've made.
It's amazing.
I looked it up, and there actually is Pulgasari figures.
Oh, that's so perfect.
So I might snatch one eventually.
So
after that, like this segment of the movie is just a bunch of elaborate plans that the general tries to do to stop Pulgasari.
Yeah, and he's basically become Team Rocket.
I kind of like because this is like a very common type of scene that you see in other kaiju movies when the kaiju is like a threat. There's always a scene where they're like the boardroom meeting scene where they're all like, how do we stop this kaiju, right?
Yeah.
The thing is that like a lot of those scenes take place in like contemporary the era where they were made, right? So like a lot of like the bigger elaborate things like, oh, we'll drop a giant net with like 5 helicopters is not too crazy, but like this is like the feudal era, so it's so fucking wild that they could just try to do all these little stunts. Because, like, the next plan is that, like, oh, what if we just build a giant hole and we drop them in there?
That's actually really fucking smart. Like, why didn't anybody think of that in Godzilla?
Yeah, they really did get, like, I mean, I kind of dig that. It kind of works on, like, not I don't want to say kid logic, but it's very much like, simple thinking.
Yeah.
You know, like let's drop Godzilla in a big hole, dog. That might stop him.
It's very because they got no other fucking options. So fuck it, we'll do whatever it takes.
Pulgasari doesn't look like he's built to climb things, so they're like, okay, well, of course, drop him in a hole, and it works. They drop him in a hole, and they drop a shitload of rocks on him, and they think they defeated him, and that's the generals. Oh no, they also kill Ida, don't they?
Yeah, they kill Inde.
Inde.
And he's like, Pulgasari, you have Tokusei's will. Avenge me.
Pulgasari, you're the man of the house now. Dies. And Pulgasari's all like, I won't let you down, Dad.
I won't let you down.
I won't let you down. But so he Pulgasari gets dropped in there. They win. Well, the Empire
it's the
darkest
darkest hour. It's the darkest hour for our
hero.
for our bandits heroes.
Exactly. So and they're being used. Omni, that's her name, right? Omni.
Ami, yeah. Ami decides to like infiltrate into like the general's party.
I think she's already a part of it, right? Isn't she?
I think.
Oh wait.
No.
She mentioned something about infiltrating it.
Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she disguised herself as like a sex worker basically, but she's not working. I guess she's not getting paid for it. I'm assuming.
Wow.
Just knowing how these things work, but yeah, she sneaks in.
Away.
She's very smart too, because she knows that she needs to bribe the guards, so she gets them like a huge thing of, I guess, like it said wine.
No,
I guess
no,
it's
wait.
wine.
Wasn't the plan that she was already at the main party, and then she overhears about like, oh, we got guards that are guarding like the area around Pulgasari where he's buried, and she hears this, and she has her own like alcohol, which I thought was had something in it that would make them knock the fuck out.
Me too.
So she brings it over to them, and she's all like, "Oh, this is a thanks from the general for doing such a good job, guys." And they're like, "Oh." But also behind her wasn't that guy who was following her, who was part of the empire? Wasn't that guy the governor? I thought that was the governor.
He wasn't the governor, but he was like some authority figure, like a chancellor or something. Like He was depicted with the general in a few scenes.
Didn't he first show up when the first time we see the Emperor?
I think so.
He's one of the general's advisors. He's giving him advice and suggestions at some points.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, so anyway, so that advisor sees her and realizes what she's doing, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's an infiltrator, and then she like tries to run off to get to the hole, to the berry spot where Pulgasari's at, and she still tries to talk to Pulgasari, telling him like to get out, and they got her, but then the ground starts shaking and Pulgasari busts out of that hole.
Well, there's a specific thing that she realizes is that I guess she realized at some point that her blood kind of like bonds her to Pulgasari.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So she like takes like one of their swords and like cuts her like arm a little bit, and the blood drips down in there, and Pulgasari comes back to life and just.
This was like a what the fuck moment for me, because I thought it was just gonna be like her calling him and he wakes up, but like the fact that she jumped immediately to like blood sacrifice was great.
It's amazing.
That's pretty hardcore. If there was an edgy version of Pulgasari, she would have been killed, but then her corpse would have been over the spot, and the blood would have awakened Pulgasari.
Yes.
And then Pulgasari would have no master, so he'll go all out and obliterate everybody.
Yeah.
It is really funny to me that he has a master, and like they make a big deal out of that in the scene where when they kidnap her and like force him to walk in the cage. Like there's even a scene where they say like bow to me, and he kind of does. Like, he just like instantly bows.
I kind of like. Oh god, even though it's silly, like I really do like that this movie does a good job to tie like the human story with like Pulgasari.
Yeah, he is the people's kaiju. He feels like he's part of the army. Like
that's when I see that whole scene, especially when he's literally their size, just part of the army. Like it's such an interesting like you're kind of like getting two things bumping up against each other, because you have the idea of like communism, obviously something that they'd want to like everyone's equal, but you have like basically a superhuman like that is making the playing field non-leveled. Like he's definitely tipping it in one direction, which
It's
is kind of like the ending of the movie.
it's fucking great man theory is what it is. Pulgasari is like the great man of
The Ubermensch.
Ubermensch.
It is, but like at the same time, like I feel like Pulgasari is obviously like, aside from a kaiju, like in a surface level, he's a kaiju, right? But like underneath, he's this big, wider metaphor, and at the ending, kind of like solidifies that, right?
The ending is nuts. I can't wait to talk about that.
Oh yeah, I love the ending. But anyway, so Pulgasari arises and he starts wrecking shit again, and since they're much closer to the capital now, the general is like, "Ah fuck, they're getting in close. Ah fuck, ah shit, ah fuck."
And then he just rides off while Pulgasari destroys that whole base, I guess.
And the emperor is like, "Oh, the fuck we're gonna do?" And you know what's another interesting thing that I think goes hand with like the propaganda is that the emperor is really much portrayed like a buffoon.
Yeah.
Like he's always like an idiot. Like he says always short sentences, and he has like very simple answers. He's never seemed to be like a very tactical guy. He's like clearly some sort of idiot.
He's like, get the fucking cannons ready. Is there a weapon? He's like, yeah, there's a weapon.
I also love, he is like a wise man sort of like assistant or aide that is like giving him all this info.
Yeah.
And one thing that he says, he explains how Pulgasari is made. He's like, yes, there was a man who made a totem out of rice, and then this woman dropped her blood on it. And I was like, how did he fucking find out? Like
the intel is fucking nuts.
Yeah, they're like, oh, they got that secret intel. Okay, you know what'd be really fucking cool if they realize that, like, oh, that easy, and then they make their own Pulgasari to battle the other Pulgasari.
That's the sequel.
Oh my god, fuck. I was about to say, why did they kidnap me? I'll write the sequel.
Yeah.
Okay, no, actually, no, I take that back. No, please, this was a joke, please.
Anyways,
all right, so
we get a little party scene after that, I believe, and like we get set in the fact that like the villagers are kind of like, you know, Pulgasari really eats a whole lot, doesn't he?
Kazoo, we skipped over the part where like
cannons.
They're their last resort weapon, which is they literally invent cannons. Well, they create like a super cannon, and they shoot it at Pulgasari. And it at first it seems like it works, like because Pulgasari's like stuck, but then he like eats one when it gets shot at him, and he shoots it right back at them.
That's right. He's so metal in this scene. He also gets like a harpoon in the eye, and they think that gets him, and he just keeps walking. He just pulls it out.
Yeah, it's it's funny because when the guy describes what the cannon is before saying the word cannon, my mind was like racing because he's like, I have a prototype new weapon. It is a large cylinder. And I was like, what is this going to be? Like a giant like silo that they drop on it? Like, oh no, it's just a cannon.
It's nutty. I love that. I do love like the allegorical context of like building weapons because it feels very much, you know, like North Korea in general. Like they're, what's it called? Songun? Like their like philosophy of like military first. Like that sort of thing. It feels like you can see that both in like the rebels and in the monarchy. So it's very interesting for them to be all like, oh, you guys got like sick ass weapons, right? let's bust those babies out.
And they so right after that badass scene where Pulgasari shoots back the cannonball, he starts wrecking the capital, and like this is like another thing that's very common with like the kaiju films that are trying to say something, is that when a kaiju like destroys a specific building and the you know the cinematography, the shot shows you that building, usually they're trying to say something, right about that, like I can't remember. I think there was a scene in Gojira where he's like destroying a like I think he's destroying like the ministry building, and that's like commentary right there.
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost in every Godzilla movie. There's almost always a scene where he destroys like one of those big castles. I don't know what the
pagoda.
name is.
He destroys the
pagoda.
That happens in this too, and I was like, yeah, he did it.
Yeah, I love seeing that.
He literally destroys the fucking emperor's like castle, and the emperor death is kind of brutal. Like
I love it. I love how
great.
he wraps himself up in a blanket. Like he just, well, not a blanket, but it's like one of the fucking
the fucking drape things that they have in and then he gets squashed. And once he dies, like the music cuts, and then we have a lingering frame on that, and then we cut to like, oh, we won, guys.
basically.
won. And they
Yeah.
start partying again, and you find like you find Pulgasari tapping his feet like he does along with the music, and they got like the like the lion dog out, and they're like partying, and Pulgasari's like eating he's eating the cannons the way like a kid would on like Easter with like an Easter bunny. He just takes the head off of the cannon.
I really love the sound of him chewing. I'm sorry.
It's great.
It's
I feel like we
amazing.
didn't talk about his eating metal enough because it's really entertaining.
The S effects in this movie are so fucking funny. Like that. Also, like the sword clash S effect is like super fucking
Oh my
odd.
god!
Remember
It's
that?
used every other sword hit. It's like
The
Ting,
fucking
ting.
clank, clank, clank. Like just him when he shoots,
It's
like
amazing.
clank, clank, clank.
Yes.
Fucking love it.
there
And
is
then-
something really scary too about a monster that eats metal. Like that is so like weird, and it's something I'd never thought about before. Like,
It feels very fairy tale to me. That's like a very fairy tale thing, you know?
mhm.
Yeah.
Because there's like, I think there's other creatures that eat like things that aren't food. I can't think right now, but I know they exist.
It's like some sort of like troll that like sneaks in your house and eats your fingernails while you're sleeping or something.
Yeah.
Or isn't there like some sort of story about something that eats gold? I can't remember.
That sounds so familiar.
That does sound really familiar. Dragons like hoard gold; they don't eat it though.
Yeah. Oh, they should have Pulgasari fight a dragon. Then it could be communism versus capitalism.
Yeah. That'd be pretty sick.
Base. Oh,
Bring
if
him
Pulga-
back.
if Pulgasari had like a King Ghidorah equivalent that hoarded like treasure, that would work.
That would be so good. Holy shit.
So, but anyway, now it's time for like what I think is like the most interesting part of the movie is like the philosophy of Pulgasari existing. They're kind of like,
Yes.
well, he's gonna need more metal to eat, so we gotta just keep giving him up more metal. And we're kind of like, and I kind of love how that like is kind of bookends the beginning, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, the farmers give up their tools to like
For
make
the
weapons.
emperor, it's
Right.
very anti-imperialism, anti-government in that sense.
It's so crazy how like in an effort to destroy the emperor who's like been stated by God to rule over the people, they accidentally create a new god to praise, right? Because now they're more inclined to like they're okay with giving metal to Pulgasari, and
because he's chill, you know, like he like kicks back and shit.
yeah, and Omni is like, this is kind of fucked actually.
The sentence she says where it's all like, the people will have to take you back to countries and to like invade to like get more metal and stuff. And it's like
letting you exist is gonna make us just imperialists, and that's what we're fighting against, basically.
yeah, it
The
was
line
so
that I really
like
liked
brutal.
was, oh sorry, the line I really liked was that you, our savior, would become our enemy. So it's like,
Yeah,
damn.
That's it's this like ending is like what kind of makes this movie remind me so much of the original like Gojira, because in that one, like that movie kind of ends with its own philosophical question and kind of like solidifies. I mean, in Gojira, it's like the question is like basically the entire movie, but in this one, it's like the ending is where they give you that like they give you this wacky kaiju like, you know, stopping emperor adventure, and then at the ending, it kind of like but you know what? Kind of makes you think, you know,
It kind of makes you think. It's got a fun anarcho twist to it that you wouldn't expect in a North Korean film.
Yeah, because I was so ready to go into the movie thinking that, oh, this is pure propaganda. Like every second is always something going to be ridiculous, but it's more straightforward and kind of a little bit more thought out than I thought, which makes me
interesting.
It kind of makes me inclined to like kind of like the movie more, or maybe that's just the propaganda working, but.
It might
I think
be.
it's the propaganda work.
It's the way that it can be read in like multiple ways. That Pulgasari could be, you know, the Soviet Union or China, or I think for us, Pulgasari reads more as like the Kim regime because it makes the most sense. Like because the Kim regime directly helped lift or free Korea from, you know, imperialist Japan in like 1948. And then, you know, Sang-ok Shin, you know, who'd have been in the country for like a long ass time, you can clearly see like, oh, this this individual fetishism of the Kim family isn't healthy, because it's clearly like fucking up the people by taking away their tools and shit for like war, you know?
Right, because like in replacing the ideas of dynasty, you kind of just created a new one, and
Exactly.
like, the Kim family is a dynasty, right? At
Yeah,
this point,
they basically are.
and I kind of like the way she kind of like stops Pulgasari. Like she rings that metal bell, and Pulgasari knows it wakes up Pulgasari, and he's all like, "Ooh, metal!" Right? So he's gonna go
Yum,
eat the
yum,
bell.
yum.
He's like, yum, yum,
Yeah.
yum.
And she's hiding
It's-
in the bell, and then Pulgasari eats the bell with her in it, and he can only ever eat metal, and maybe that's like the secret loophole to stop him, right?
It's
So
a
he's
prayer bell too, so like the symbolism of like Pulgasari like answering her prayers by like ending
Dying.
himself. It's very poetic. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
So Pulgasari eats the bell, and then he starts dissolving into a couple of rocks, so like a pile of rocks, right?
Wait,
That was pretty cool. I like that effect a lot, actually.
you get to see
Yeah.
like his face freak out for a minute after he
Oh,
realizes
that's it.
what he does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the scene where his face is the funny. He makes like a really funny face in that part.
He realizes, oh no, what have I done? Oh,
Basically, like the
Blows
face
up.
that the guy makes in Big Trouble in Little China when he's like exploding.
Yes, it's that
Face.
face. Holy shit.
so Pulgasari like turns into a bunch of rocks, and then he turns back into his little baby form, but then turns into like a spirit energy that goes inside like the girl's body, and
Yeah.
she it's like it seems like she's dead, but the
She's
spirit
I
spirit
think.
going back, like I don't know, I felt like that implies she could still be alive.
I thought she was dead.
I don't know.
Pretty clearly.
Did the version that you guys watched have credits? Because like the DVD I
No.
had just like cut at that. So
I
like
Yeah,
think
just
that's where
that.
it ends. Yeah,
shit.
the opening were the credits, and like doesn't the story goes that like Kim was a big fan of the original Godzilla?
Yeah, Kim Jong Il really loves like Bond, Godzilla, and the NBA.
and this ending is such like a kind of like this is like kind of the ending of Gojira, because that ending has like like I don't have you guys seen Gojira?
Yes.
It's been a long ass time, but yeah.
Okay, well in that ending, you know, Dr. Serizawa creates Oxygen Destroyer, which is a weapon it's a weapon to stop Godzilla, who's just the atomic bomb, right? So it's technically a weapon stronger than the atomic bomb. But Dr. Serizawa uses the weapon on Godzilla, but he also sacrifices himself because he's the only one with the knowledge to know how to make it. And he's all like, I can't like let this exist, or this is going to repeat itself, right? So he sacrifices himself. And this movie has that sacrifice too, but like in a different way. It's good. I'm not saying it's like a ripoff, but I'm saying it's cool. It's cool that they did that. Like I really like that.
Yeah.
And there's like and knowing that, like knowing how much of it is kind of like stuff that like I feel like a lot of stuff in this movie is like things Kim liked about kaijus, but just kind of like more in Kim's taste, because like I could so see the logic of the way they designed like Pulgasari, because it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'll have a kaiju, but he's gonna look badass. He's gonna have spikes. He's gonna have horns. He's gonna look like really fucking cool. He's gonna look huge, right? Like I could like kind of see that there. I could see like that kind of like thoughtful kind of ending thing going on. I could probably see that going over like Kim's head, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like
Mhm.
this is very much just like I want a cool kaiju movie, and then like Song-ok was like, oh yeah, sure, let me just do this here.
You know how like a lot of people talk about how like, oh, Watchmen is so fucking smart, but they don't really know exactly what makes Watchmen smart. They just know if a thing is smart, it's implied it's of good quality, right?
Yeah, they just know that it raises questions, but like they don't know.
They don't know what the questions are, but they,
Yeah.
I mean, they think they know what the questions are, but they don't really have that much of an idea. I feel like maybe Kim saw original Gojira, thought it was cool that it like has this like question, but he doesn't really know specifically what the question is. And I think maybe what's his name, Shin Song, right?
Yeah, Song-ok.
Yeah, Song-ok like probably realized that, and that's why like he has that like kind of like ending, you know?
Yeah, it's very cool. I wonder. It makes you wonder if anybody walked out of the movie theater thinking like, huh. You know, like,
Huh.
I'm starting to wondering how the fuck I'm living in this society. You know?
Do you guys think it's bad that I kind of like this movie?
No, I kind of like it too. Like, it feels very like pro like worker, pro proletariat. You know, it feels very cool.
That's why, like, to me, that's why it hurts more. It's just because, like, it just, I don't know. It's like the worst guy you know made a good point kind of thing. Like,
Oh yes.
I mean, I kind of like I like how they're using, like, how it's kind of an alternate history of like how an uprising could have actually worked against a big like regime.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, this is the North Korea where they're like just throwing people in concentration camps, and they have this like horrible state-controlled like everything. Basically, it's just it's not good. It's not a good look.
It's not.
It's very peculiar how like after this movie, like, you know, like if you skip 4 years into the future and you have like the North Korean famine where, you know, they don't have good food because the Soviet Union just died, and, you know, North Korea doesn't want to allocate fucking money to like farming. They want to like fucking just make weapons all day, which, you know,
I think it's like two ways to kind of like, because it's kind of like the ultimate like, okay, I know the person involved in these movies were terrible. How the fuck am I gonna justify myself to like enjoy them or appreciate them, right? Kind of thing. And I'm thinking like the two ways, like you mentioned earlier at the start, that like, oh, he directed this as a kind of like a fuck you to Kim Jong, right? Or like to kind of like warn the people, like, you can't rely on the Soviet Union. Right? You just can't. That's gonna fuck you over in the end, and maybe that way, that's what he was trying to tell the audience in North Korea, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like a way you can look at it, and also like a good way to be kind of like, okay, it's cool. This isn't really, it has like North Korea propaganda, but I think it also says a lot about North Korea, or it's trying to tell them something that they should listen to. Specifically their leader, specifically the leaders. I hope for the best for the people of North Korea. Fuck the motherfuckers running the place, dude. They're ass.
It's very much like 2019's The Joker in that regard, because it radicalizes people.
I've been Pulgasari-fied.
I've been Pulgasari'd.
Wait, are you meaning to tell me that you actually liked Pulgasari?
I do, and I'm tired of pretending that I don't.
Oh god, I need to. I'm gonna create the ultimate capitalism kaiju, and that he'll fight Pulgasari.
That's so good. I love it. We can reclaim Pulgasari. He's the people's kaiju.
But should we?
He's the people's kaiju. Look, Pulgasari. Is in my problematic fave. Problematic
fave. He's my favorite tanky.
Well, the only tanky I respect is Pulgasari.
All right, guys. You know the fucking like Soviet heads with, like, you know, you have Marx, then Lenin, or then Trotsky, then Lenin, then Stalin. Just put Pulgasari right next in the line.
Oh god, that should be a good. I'm gonna commission someone for that.
Yeah.
Marx, Stalin, Lenin, Mao, Pulgasari, all the greats are here.
Yeah. Throw Vosh in there too. Why not?
Yeah, throw Vosh. Put Twitter Squirrel on there too. Yeah, why not? Fuck it. Put the OK Boomer girl there.
Oh hell yeah! Did you see her? Did you see her tweet about Bernie? Yeah.
Wait, what was that?
She had a tweet about Bernie doing like the crossed, his little sitting thing, just so we can instantly date this episode. This happened on Inauguration Day.
Oh yeah, it's Inauguration Day today. We're celebrating the inauguration of our president.
We're in Biden's America now, you know.
Yeah, Biden's America now.
Yeah, Nico Lol was all like, "Oh, I wish it was you, Bernie."
It should have been you, King. It should have been you.
Should have.
Hopefully, like, Bernie's gonna get some like rice, and he's gonna make a Pulgasari.
That would be great. That's Bernie's dying wish.
Yeah. If Donald got another 4 years, like, Sander would have been put into the holding cell, and he would have
Yes.
gotten like a bunch of like rice. He would
Oh
have.
my god. Could you
He's
just
all-
imagine like a kaiju letting out a roar, but it's just like a vague Brooklyn accent? Hey. Yeah.
I would try to do a Sanders accent, but I can't do it. I got no faith in myself.
Yeah,
Nah,
same.
me neither. I can do some New York. I can't do Sanders. It's very gravelly.
Okay, let's okay. Did we technically say our final thoughts, or do you guys want to say the final thoughts now?
Let's just go formally around. I'll start. I mean,
Yeah.
I was kind of bored. I did watch this movie at 1.25 speed.
It's fine.
I don't know. Like, I thought it was. It's funny because like there's a lot of really wacky stuff that happens. Like, there's an exorcism. There's like the funny
Oh, yeah.
where they light the box on fire. But honestly, like I was just maybe I'm just not into these kind of like
Older
classic.
kaijus.
Classic kaiju.
No, I love classic kaijus and like the setting. I think like the setting being like a fantasy, not fantasy, but like more of historical. Really like
medieval-
set my brain off in the wrong. Like I was thinking this is supposed to be like a sort of like epic war movie. Like
Yeah.
like there's like a tradition of like these big like Chinese and like even Korean too. I think there's a couple big like these like classic war movies, and I think I was kind of in that brain. And there was like kung fu scenes too, and
Yes.
I don't know.
I
Oh
loved all
god.
that shit. I really liked it. Like, I mean, obviously it's like kind of shittily shot. It has like shitty effects.
I feel like the shooting's fine. It's like they shot it like they would
just-
shoot like a feudal movie at the time.
Yeah,
I feel.
I just wish it was like brighter in some areas. Like a lot of scenes are like dark and it's just hard to see shit.
Yeah, they used all the electricity. You know how like in the map, like on Google Earth, they only have electricity in one spot. Like yeah, this was like they can only use half the electricity.
For like 3
Right.
months, people were going without power so we could film this movie.
Oh my god, imagine!
But-
Jesus Christ.
It was fun. It was hokey. It was goofy. It was shocking in some regards. I wasn't really expecting to see people carving animals like on the big screen. I liked the suit. I liked the SFX were fun, and like Cheesy said, Pulgasari is my problematic fave too.
Oh, yeah, of
I'm
course.
pretty left. I'm pretty socialist. So
Look, yeah,
Pulgasari forever.
yeah, finally a kaiju for the people.
Yeah.
I thought that was Gamera. No, Gamera's for the children. Sorry.
For the
Cameras for the
children.
yeah.
Camera's like, I don't. Okay, we're gonna make once we watch enough kaiju movies, we're gonna make the kaiju political compass.
Yes.
Right?
Camera is
And-
for the quote unquote children. We'll put a bookmark in that.
I mean, like, I think it should be very obvious that King Ghidorah is a monarchist. It's in his
Oh
name.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's in his fucking name, King Ghidorah, right?
He's a bastard too.
I think I can't find the quote right now, but I did find an interesting quote that the suit actor for Pulgasari said about this movie. Like, he said that even though like something about kind of like the problematic way this movie was created, he still thinks this movie was way better than the '90s American Godzilla remake.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah,
It fucking
Even-
rocks.
without a doubt. Oh, maybe we should watch that eventually.
Yeah, we definitely got to get to that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I think if anyone has any more factoids they want to say, I kind of want Spork to have the final say because she's been awfully quiet.
Yeah.
I stayed up until 6 a.m. last night, and I went to sleep and did not sleep that much. So when I woke up, I watched this movie, and in my delirium, I perceived this movie as 100% serious the entire way through. This is a great movie. It's really good. You should watch it. It's good.
All right, okay, so so I think that's the ending. Catch the next episode of the Unofficial Toku-Cast, and I feel like Godzilla vs. Guy again. You guys want to do Godzilla vs. Guy again?
Yeah, I'm cool with Godzilla vs. Guy
Sure.
again. How about
Yeah.
you guys?
You can watch it for free on archives.org. I'll drop the link later.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think I would really want to hear you guys' opinions about that because it's very that movie is very much imbued with the popular culture of like Japan at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I love Gigan specifically. He's one of my favorite kaiju in general. I
fucking love Gigan.
Do you know his nickname? It's Chicken because he always is running off.
Looks like a green chicken.
Yeah. It's perfect. I can't wait to talk about it.
All right, cool. Pulgasari, 10 out of 10. For the people, long live our great leader.
Juche gang for life.
Biden.
Boss man.